Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Mike O'Reilly, the chairman of the Town of Monroe Planning and Zoning Commission. This is our regular meeting for December the 4th, 2025. It is 7:02 p.m. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll call the roll, starting on my right.
Dominic Smarglino, alternate commissioner.
Ryan Condon, Commissioner.
Bruno Maini, commissioner.
Robert Westland, Commissioner.
Nicole Lupo, alternate commissioner. Alexandria Castro, interim planning and zoning administrator.
Bill Holsworth, Economic Development for the Town of Monroe.
We have James on board.
We do. I'm promoting him to a panelist.
Okay, and we're going to seat Dominic Smerglino.
Also going to want to promote Ray.
This first hearing. All right, so we have general public participation. If anyone would like to address the commission on any items not on the agenda tonight, this is the time to do so. Please raise your hand if you're here in person, or press the raise your hand button online. This is general public participation. I don't see anyone. Okay, James DeMaio is here. All right, then we'll go right to the public hearings. First public hearing, SCP 2025-05, 1536 and 1564 Monroe Turnpike. This is a continuation of a public hearing. We are basically here to wrap this up tonight, review the review of the hydrogeological report. Go ahead, if you want to introduce.
We're going to do the exhibits.
The new exhibits, yes, go ahead.
Meeting on the 6th, right?
Our last meeting date was November 20th.
No, we didn't have a meeting. Did we?
We did.
Exhibit number 58 submitted on December 2nd, the swale detail drawings. Exhibit number 59 submitted on December 3rd, Paula Jelly email attachment. Exhibit number 60 submitted on December 3rd, another email from Paula Jelly. Exhibit number 61, the peer review report from Time Bond. Those are the exhibits.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo, Russo Realty LLC, here on behalf of the applicant. Chair, I'm not sure. Do you want me to go straight into rebuttal, or is there something being presented on the third party?
No, there's nothing being presented, as far as I know. We've all had a chance to read the review of the hydrogeological review, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
We do have a representative from Time Bond on if you needed any clarification, explanation.
Okay, we do. I believe James was going to give us a little bit of a explanation
Correct.
on this. So shall we have James go first?
Yeah, because the only really additional information we submitted was we submitted some easement language to Mr. DeMaio. We submitted some details about the swale that I think Commissioner Maini wanted, which we have somebody here that if you wanted more details about it, we could go through, but if that was sufficient. There really isn't much for us to present, and then we'll respond to the comments.
All right, then Mr. DeMaio.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. Again, James DeMaio, town engineer for Monroe. I'm just going to give you the real quick summary again. The representative from Time Bond is also here as well if you have any real specifics. But just my high-level overview of the report. For the most part, the They didn't take exception to anything that was presented by WSP. Based upon the information that they provided, their approach is within normal standards. The commission and public had started to or were requesting information on what's called well interference. So, if how will the new wells impact the other wells, or in terms of existing wells? The consultant did, for the commission's information, let you guys know what that test would be. However, I personally have some reservations in terms of what we as a commission and a town should be um, doing and governing. For instance, there are no state statutes that really allow us to limit somebody's wells or control them. Um, all of the well statutes are either with the public health department, which talk about water quality and minimum draw and um, things such as that on a new well when you construct a well. And then there are statutes for from consumer protection regarding practices for the well driller, techniques that are allowed to be used. And the main intention is that you can, or you are not allowed to contaminate a aquifer, but nobody has exclusive rights over an existing aquifer. Um, so that's just kind of like the high level overview and my input on that. Again, I'm more than happy to answer any questions or concerns, um, but yeah, I mean, they essentially agreed with, based upon the information that is currently known, that they overall concurred with WSP's report.
Okay, thank you, James. Okay, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we close the hearing?
So Chair, sorry, again, procedurally, should I hold my comment? Is the public's going to speak? Then should I just hold for a rebuttal, or
Would you like to
go?
that? We can do
straight
that.
out, wait till after, just so I'm not redundant.
All right, we'll have questions then first. Anybody here have any questions about the Titan bond on the DSA? Any commissioners to direct towards Titan bond or to James? No? No questions from us? All right, no questions from staff. Then we can go to the public. If there's any members here tonight that would like to speak on this application, please raise your hands, and I will call on you. Come down. Please give your name and address. Please speak into the microphone and address the commission.
Lawyer and a mover.
Somewhat useful.
Better mover.
Just don't hurt yourself.
Better mover.
My first question, sorry. My name is Paula Jelly. I live at 290 Cottage Street. 1564 Monroe Turnpike surrounds me on three sides. My first question about the Titan bond report was, how did they arrive at 109 feet for 7 Schultz Road? That resident is under the impression that it's only 11 feet. My second point on the report, page 3.8, second paragraph that's bolded. They probably wanted to include the word not, does not become contaminated. Please confirm that you wanted the word not instead of does become contaminated, but should say does not become contaminated. My next question is about the drawing of the swale. If you could all look up, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have copies.
Oh, I have, oh, don't see my red marks. Okay. There's an area between where the swale starts and the edge of house number 3 driveway where it curves down. Where it rains there, no water runoff is being mitigated there. Are the trees not being removed at all in this area? Or is this just an oversight of this area is not being protected? Because when you look at the topographical marks and how they're parallel, that's the direction of where the water is coming at my house. So this width is not being protected. Is that understandable?
Yes,
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
thank you, Ms. Jelly. Do we have anyone else tonight that would like to speak? Come right up.
Yeah, sorry, 237 Cottage Street. So, general questions at this point. I heard what the gentleman earlier said. If it's not something that falls to P&Z or wetlands or whatever, what is potentially recourse, or what are residents looking at then if we continue developing Monroe the way that we've done the last few years? At what point, where do we go for concerns if wells continue going dry or we do have ongoing issues? Because while the report is saying, yes, certain things are substantiated, they're saying flat out they can't tell if it's going to have an impact or not. I understand certain things you aren't going to know. But if something like this happens, and I know, again, this is not necessarily you hear it's a town question, but you guys are the ones I'm hoping will feed the info and concerns to the right people. What then do existing residents who've been here, what do we have to protect us from the amount of building that we're doing that's just going to continue putting draws where the existing residents are now going to have to continue refracturing wells for whatever we're going to have to do in our normal enjoyment that we've been here for years? I'm still really concerned. I'm still perplexed at how years ago the property was originally approved for 2 homes. Now all of a sudden we're arguing 8 and we get sued over it, and that's costing us money. It just doesn't seem to stop. And I feel like all contractors are going to do is keep bullying us because we don't do what they want. And it doesn't matter that there's those of us negatively impacted, whether or not I can drop 10 grand to potentially have my well re-drilled. Doesn't matter to them. I understand that. But I've been in this town since '87. I am to the point where I'm looking at leaving because I just don't know that I'm going to be able to stay here, because if something like this happens, I don't know what I'll do. That's the bubble I have saved to redo my kitchen at some point and my bathroom and whatever. So it is a concern to those of us that have been here that, yes, somebody should be able to profit from their property, build on their property. I totally understand that. I just want to know at what point the overall cost to everybody else is going to get weighed in. We don't have the money to go and sue you. We're not contractors, not you, but the town. I just feel like we're these little peons that in the long run, it doesn't matter what we say or if our quality of living is going to be crushed with this or not. Nobody could definitively say, even in this other report, that they can't say for sure this isn't going to negatively impact us. And that really concerns me, especially where the well reports we do have. Less than half the wells are accounted for. And those wells, a lot of them are set
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else here in person that would like to comment on this application? If not, is there anyone online that would like to comment on this application? Mark Lamont. Can we speak with Mark Lamont?
Allowed to talk?
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mark, if you can unmute yourself? Mark?
There we go.
All right, we hear
Okay, can you
you.
hear me?
We do.
Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Mark Lamont. I live at 51 Downs Road, at the top of the hill. And, I read the report from TAG in its entirety. I just want to call out some very specific and poignant passages and remarks and input they made from that. I don't think the report is as cut and dry as Mr. DiMatteo's summary that he just made, because while in principle they didn't disagree with the previous hydrogeologist's summary, they did say some other things that again are quite poignant. I'm just going to read them from their report to make sure they get read into the record, and so that the general public can hear them and understand them. I mean, in section 4, they said, what cannot be I'm sorry if I'm hoarse. I've got a bad cold. I didn't want to come in there and infect everybody tonight. What cannot be quantified, evaluated at this time are well interferences from the proposed on-site residential wells on each other or on any off-site wells. There is limited to no knowledge on the locations of fractures in the underlying bedrock at the site. For example, if multiple wells intersect the same fracture, pumping of the wells may cause an adverse impact on one or more wells. I mean, what they're saying is I'm probably going to repeat this a few times. There's no information to support yay or nay on this particular subject. They state the applicant does not provide potential well interference information or calculations for the proposed subdivision. To identify potential well interferences, additional on-site and off-site investigations will have to be carried out. In Teagan Bond's professional opinion, the applicant's hydrogeologic approach is technically sound. However, they have not adequately addressed potential impacts the proposed 8 bedrock wells will have on the existing off-site bedrock wells. The summary that they give, to me, is all telling. If the Planning and Zoning Commission requires additional information to make a decision, a preliminary method that the applicant can perform is a fracture trace analysis. This method would use aerial photographs or LiDAR to identify the orientations and locations of fractures on the proposed development property, as well as extending off-site to include existing residential wells. In addition, for WSP to better support their interpretations, recommendations, and conclusions, and to address the concerns of the citizens, pumping test data collected on the proposed 8 bedrock wells and off-site residential wells to identify potential interference and adverse impacts on-site or off-site wells should be considered. So when I read this report, what I'm hearing is while they don't disagree with old data that's already there on the ground that anybody can read, they are stating that there's not enough data there to make an assessment about whether the drilling of 8 new wells in this structure will impact the 60 plus wells that are already existing in the neighborhood, or even the drilling of 8 new wells in the proposed new subdivision. They just don't know, and they're stating that as much. So if when I read this, I'm saying that, or I'm reading, sorry, that there is more data required. There's more input that needs to be sought to make sure that we're not negatively impacting 60 plus households at the expense of 8 new households in the area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont. Do we have anyone else online that would like to comment on this application?
We do. Donna Knopf, you've been promoted to be able to speak if you want to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Yeah, Donna Conkle, 26 Manor Drive. I actually, Mark did a great job summarizing exactly what all of my questions, as well as I also read it in full detail. Can somebody remind me the reason that the application had been denied previously? Because I thought that it was because there was concern over existing wells and how it would be affected, how they would be affected. Are you guys allowed to refresh my memory on that?
Why don't you just finish your comments and then we'll address all of the comments at once.
Okay. So I thought I was under the understanding that that was the reason it was denied. And then I know that there was some lawsuit that came up and it was allowed to be readdressed, come up back up again. So I guess my question is, if it was denied for that reason, initially, what has changed that when in this report is basically stating that they cannot say either way whether it's going to affect existing wells in the area by adding these 8 new wells. So I'm a little bit confused about that. Would like clarification about that. It just seems like this is, as everyone knows, been going on for a long time, and we just are not getting any comfort level that our wells will not be affected. Again, kind of reiterating what some of the other people had said, who would be responsible if this moves forward. And we do end up having issues down the road with our wells, knowing that this could be a potential issue. I'm just concerned because it seems like there's been a lot of special exceptions for this property that have been let through. I know one of them was the city water, the 2-acre zoning, sidewalks. I think there's some others. So just concerned about all of that, and would really hope that you guys really take all of this into consideration, because it is affecting. I was under the impression there could be possibly 100 properties that it could be affecting. So that's a lot of homeowners. So I just ask that you guys please take all of this under consideration and don't make any decisions unless we are sure that it's not going to affect existing wells in the area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else online?
No, nobody else has their hand raised.
Okay, anyone here? Okay, then we'll go ahead back with the applicant.
Thank you, Chair. The commissioners, you want me to? You can do yours. Yeah, sure.
Ryan Eller from J. Edwards and Associates, engineer on the project. I just wanted to address Ms. Shelley's concerns briefly.
Yes.
So I think it's important to note that both the driveway for lot 3 and the driveway for lot 4 curbing that keeps the water flowing into the drainage system. So that area of concern, yes, there is a slope that heads down, that it does not have the swale built in front of it, but that is the natural slope that's already there. And we are already holding back the water from a new part of the development, the driveway specifically, regarding that. So it's pretty much the same way that it already is. And we're not mitigating anything we're not doing there. We are mitigating areas where we have sloping that's not covered by the curbs and stuff, hope that answers that question.
I think her question was kind of if there's trees there now and the trees go away, you're taking care of the water above, but now the water that usually would maybe get some intercepted by the trees that are there.
Well, the clearing
There
is off the road or off the driveways a little bit for sure, but generally speaking, builders don't like to spend more money than they would like to. Those trees between those lots are going to stay for the most part, right? And so I can't say there will be no trees that are removed because obviously some improvement is done there, but not to any significant degree. They're not going to clear cut that hill.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on the rest, specifically the report, I think the protection that some of the neighbors are looking for, and kind of, I think there was a request of like, what is the standard? I think it's basically stated at the end of this report, which is during stress conditions, drought, the recharge to the bedrock aquifer exceeds the proposed water demand for the subdivision, indicating that there is sufficient rainfall to offset the additional water demand. And so that's what I think between our report and now this report from Time Bond, that's what we've been able to calculate and demonstrate in order to protect. Because we can only control our property. We can control the wells that are constructed on our property. And what we've shown here is that basically we're going to put more in than we're going to take out. And I think that's a standard that this commission can rely on. I talked with our hydrologist about the fracture analysis and when you might use that. I mean, that's something, if you were a farm and you had a really large operation and you needed to draw water, you would do a fracture analysis and it would say, this is a good spot for you to look essentially for water. But I think we non-hydrologists have been educated up enough in these hearings that we know that you could go to this side of the room and you could drill 500 feet and you can get 5 gallons. And then you could go over to this side of the room and drill 350 feet and get 10 gallons. It's really, it's when you get in there that you and actually drill, that's when you're going to find out on how much these wells are going to yield. So the fracture analysis can tell you what might be a good area, but it's really when you have to get down into actually drilling these wells. And so, and I think as, Mr. DeMeo was saying, they have standards with regards to that, that we will obviously follow. And that some of the things that this report is looking for, I mean, I can tell you personally, I haven't read every zoning regulation in Connecticut, but I've never seen anything that would, any regulations that have required that level of analysis, like fracture analysis or anything like that. But again, I go back to, I think the important point when you're looking at a site and its development is what impact is it having on the site. And I think we've gotten that with this report verifying that we're putting more water back in than we're going to take out with the size of this development. So with that, Chair, I was just going to run through the special exception criteria and how we satisfy the standards. I know I've beaten these points into your brains enough that you don't need me to really harp on them, but so I'll go quickly through this. So these are the standards for a special exception, that the application is in conformance with the applicable provisions of these regulations. Not only do we comply, we exceed the standards. Conventional subdivision is 15% open space. Cluster subdivision requires 34% open space. We're at 57.8%. We have multiples of the free street frontage requirement. The cluster subdivision in an RF2 zone requires minimum lot area of 1 acre. We have lots that exceed 1.5 acres. Multiple lots that exceed 1.5 acres. The next standard is that the proposed use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of these regulations and be in harmony with the surrounding area and adjacent land uses. Again, our proposed lots are greater in size than the properties that abut them. And then against a large number of our current abutters, we're taking what's currently private property and protecting it as open space in perpetuity. The next standard is that the proposed use will not adversely affect the health, safety, convenience, and property values of the public in general and the residents of the neighborhood in particular. I think after all the submissions and the evidence that we've provided, we've shown that we will not have an adverse effect. We have adequate sight lines, we have appropriate drainage, we have proposed swales to protect neighboring property owners. We have received approval from the Inland Wetlands Commission, and our expert in a third-party review found that based on sound calculation, again, that we will be putting back more water than we would be taking out, even during most stress conditions. The last standard is with regard to specific for cluster subdivisions. First is regarding location. We're in an RF2 zone where cluster subdivision is allowed. The minimum parcel size required is 15 acres. We're more than double that. And again, our frontage is multiples of the 200 feet that are required. And again, I think this is an application that what a cluster subdivision is doing is taking a conventional, what would be allowed in a conventional subdivision, to spread out over a much larger area, to condense down to a size of a lot that's in conformity with the surrounding neighborhood, and doing that with the goal of protecting more open space. And I think this is great, just a great example of what can be done with an application like that. It not only protected the minimum open space you wanted, but much more beyond that. And so for those reasons, happy to answer any additional questions you may have on this.
All right, and Commissioner questions. Let's start on my right.
No question.
I didn't know if we wanted, is it Tig and Bond had anything they wanted to say? Because there were some questions proposed to them.
Do you have any questions for them?
I don't have any specific questions, but I do know the public asks questions, and if they're willing to or have any answers to any of that, I wouldn't mind hearing them. That's my only thing. I know they're on, right? So.
They are here.
Yeah, I mean, if they have nothing to say, they have nothing. I know there was like a typo brought up. Maybe they can at least speak to that. Just clarify their language on that line. Would be my one request.
Okay. Who's on?
We'd agree to that change, by the way.
Yeah.
Ms. Jelly is definitely correct.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that,
So there you go.
Next.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Ray Talkington from Ty and Bond is on. He has been promoted to a panelist. Would you like to hear from him?
Sure.
Ray, if you want to unmute yourself, you have the floor, sir. Ray?
I hear something. Ray?
I hear the air conditioner.
He is unmuted, but I'm not seeing any sound coming from him right now.
He is a panelist. I have promoted him to panelist, so he should have the same rights, James, as you.
Yeah, I don't know if his mic is having some
Maybe
issues.
he stepped away. If you want to, we can continue with the questions and get back to him.
We can come back to Ray after the questions from the, okay.
I do have a question for James, just to put him on the spot. Sorry, but what would the current protocol be for a resident on Cottage Street per se if they wanted to dig a new well on their property? What would they have to go through?
So they'd have to go through the health department is essentially what they would have to do. They'd have to go, the well driller would have to pull a well permit, and then dig a new well, get it, basically drill it, verify that you have enough draw or the required draw, and then test the quality of the water. So that is one thing that I wanted to kind of touch upon and provide as actually a good example of where I know my hesitation is on this commission requiring the like a draw test or anything like that, because for instance, it's if you had an existing well and you needed to re-drill a new one, the are we saying that the Planning and Zoning Commission or the town is going to start policing every replacement well that goes in? I think it sets a very slippery slope in terms of precedent requiring this, because I've talked to multiple health directors. I've reached out to the state themselves, looking for any statutes, anything in regarding to, as a town, or do we have any authority over the aquifer? Because that's essentially what we're talking about is are we allowed to control who taps into an aquifer? And as of right now, there are no statutes. So I know one resident asked, how do they protect themselves? The current statutes are all about water quality and to keep and to protect the aquifer from contamination. In terms of use of the aquifer, there is no regulation statutes that I can find or that I've talked to, again, multiple health directors, including our own and the state. So for us to police that, I think becomes a slippery slope, essentially. And then one of the other things I just wanted to mention too, because there's another public comment. All the well information that was presented in both of the reports were all based upon existing public records for the surrounding properties if they exist. So it's whatever is on the file. Obviously, nobody was knocking on doors, polling everybody. But it was what is on file. Every well driller, when you dig a well, you're supposed to submit stuff, information on the well to the state. So there's a state library with all of this information.
Thank
Sorry.
you, James.
I know that was above and beyond your one
No,
question.
that was good. That was good too, because that might explain why one resident thought their well was a certain depth and the report says it is differently. They might want to contact the state and let them know what the actual depth is. But thank you. No more questions.
Commissioner Martin.
Oh, we got Ray.
Ray's back.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
There you go, Ray.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for listening to everyone tonight. And yes, on item number 8, it should be does not become contaminated. That's my error. I'll correct that and send a revised copy to you folks. I think for myself, and I've listened to everyone, I had to address the questions that were posed by the commission, and that's exactly what we did. I've been doing groundwater exploration development for about 40 years, and around the world too. So, but mostly throughout New England. So I've gone from large groundwater supply wells for municipalities to developments. And I've been involved in situations just like this one where the town has required pumping tests and fracture trace analyses before they approve the subdivision. So this is something that I've had to do in the past personally on other projects elsewhere, not just once but numerous times. This is becoming more and more common, especially with threats of climate change and drought scenarios coming in. We're seeing more and more that people are trying to protect the aquifer, whether it's the overburden aquifer or the bedrock aquifer, to a much, much greater degree than they have in the past. The key with whether it's drought condition or non-drought condition and the recharge going to the aquifer is one thing. That's done over a period of time. In this case, it's averaged over the year. What we don't take into consideration, or that doesn't take into consideration, is when wells turned on, which is instantaneous as opposed to long term. And what does that impact? A matter of fact, I'll give you an example where I've had to actually monitor 64 residential wells, putting in some wells. So sometimes it gets pretty contentious, and sometimes I've actually monitored neighboring wells to see what impact each neighbor has on each other neighbor. So there's a lot that goes in here, but basically what I was trying to do is looking at WSP, what they submitted, and that's fine and sound. That's typically what we would do like that. But I had to address the specific questions posed by the commission, and that's why the answers I gave are there. I mean, and I'm happy to answer any question anyone has.
Thank you, Ray. If you'll stay online, we'll go through the rest of the commissioners. And Commissioner Mayne.
No questions.
Commissioner Westland.
I read the peer report, peer review report, front to back, and as it's, as I stated in the last hearing, we're not going to have anything conclusive, regardless of how many different levels of testing that are ordered. There's just nobody that's going to come in here and tell us conclusively that this is going to have a yay or nay effect on these existing wells. And as far as accountability on the effect of the current existing wells, from what I can tell, there isn't any. There isn't any accountability. People build their houses, they drill their wells. In many instances, there's no effect whatsoever. A situation that happened in my neighborhood, I had about a 3 to 4 gallon per minute yield on my well. A large home got built next to me. My well was average at best, and my water supply actually improved. Now, this individual waters his grass, he's got a full acre, waters his grass every single day. I tested mine after this because I was not able to water my grass on that level, and my well improved, which was, I don't know if it opened up some of the veins under the earth. I don't know what happened, but it did improve my well. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen in this case, but I just believe that the likelihood of this diminishing the amount of water is minimal, and I believe it could actually help in certain cases. And on the bright side of what's going on here, putting in these new homes is going to improve the value of the existing homes in the neighborhood, along with, I don't believe, having any effect on the subsurface water supply. Again, I don't think anyone's going to come in here, no matter how many tests we have, and tell us conclusively what's going to happen 500 feet under the earth. But at the end of the day, from experience, it doesn't often affect the wells in a negative manner. That's all.
Thank you.
No questions.
Questions? Anything from the staff?
No questions?
I have no questions.
All right. All right, it's back to you. I have no questions either.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Want to close the hearing, or would you like to close the hearing?
No, I don't think there's any new point. I mean, because again, I understand Time Bot's not looking at it from a sense of this is an application where it's an 8-lot conventional to an 8-lot cluster. And so, and they're not analyzing it in that regard. So I understand that. And again, I think that's what this application is doing and preserving a lot of open space. So there's no further points I think I need to make, and would respectfully request that close the public hearing.
Okay.
Thank you for everyone's time.
All right. And this hearing is hereby closed. Thank you. Moving on. Second public hearing tonight, SCP 2025-08, file 1672, 4 and 7180 Main Street.
In accordance with CGS 8-7B, a public hearing will be held on Thursday, December 4th, 7 p.m. or soon thereafter via hybrid Zoom meeting at Town Hall, with in-person attendees located Monroe Town Hall, Council Chambers, 7 Fan Hill Road, Monroe, Connecticut. SCP 2025-08, file 1674 and 7180 Main Street, application for a special exception permit application to construct a mixed-use building and associated improvements located at 4 and 7180 Main Street. Assessors map 4, lot 37-2/38, 7182 Main Street, LLC owners. Attorney Chris Russo, Russo and Rizzo, LLC representative. Notice was published twice in the Connecticut Post, once on November 18th and again on November 25th.
Thank you, Commissioner Condon. And Alex, we usually read the exhibits. Yes. For the record.
All right, exhibit number 1, application and plan set. Exhibit number 2 are the EMS comments. Exhibit number 3, engineering comments. I apologize, I skipped the first 2 days. Application was submitted for November 12th. EMS comments, November 17th. Exhibit 3 is engineering comments from November 19th. Exhibit 4 is the Health Department comments from November 25th. Exhibit number 5 is the certificate of mailing from December 1st. Exhibit number 6 is the traffic letter and attachment, December 1st. Exhibit number 7, December 2nd, was the response to the engineering comments, and that's all I have.
Thank you. For the applicant.
What's on here?
Oh, you're gonna test me, huh?
Is it one here? It's not huge.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it now that you asked.
I can get started.
I will.
Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo, with Russo and Rizzo LLC, offices at 10 Sensible Road in Deerfield, Connecticut. Here on behalf of the applicant, a little bit of deja vu here for you, at least for the people who were on the commission 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, when this was originally approved. This application is not changing. The only thing that's changed with it is it's been updated to today's standards. But as far as number of units, size of space, layout of the site, it's the same. The issue that occurred is when it was approved, your approvals have a requirement in there that the approval be recorded within a certain time frame. It wasn't recorded within that time frame. And so we are back on that. I will say, and I'm going to be brief on this, but I just want to put it on the record. If I can hand this out, that I don't believe that under statute that actually invalidates that approval. And what you're going to see is a number of excerpts. It's from a book. It's known as it's a land use treatise. Basically, it's one that land use attorneys frequently use by Judge Fuller. It's like our land use Bible, essentially, and it goes through all the requirements in a land use application. And special permits, which is what this was in a site plan review, special permits are required to be recorded on the land records. But what you'll see is that's really just to make them effective so you can move forward. It's not that they're invalidated by not being recorded. So you'll see sections where it also talks about that I highlighted. The agency cannot put an expiration date on a prior renewal of special permits. There, and it talks about some case law with that. I also included for site plans, once they're approved, they are valid and must be completed within 5 years. So in this instance, that would be to March 2nd, 2028. So in my professional opinion, I think this is still a valid approval. But because of the language,
we hear.
Because of the language in your approval, we are coming before you to essentially ask for a reapproval. And it's still the same site, obviously split between two towns. If you remember, it's partially in Trumbull, it's partially in Monroe. It's 7 acres. It's a single mixed-use L-shaped building. There's 57 units in total between the two towns, 21 in Monroe, 36 in Trumbull. That's not changing at all. There's an office area that, if you remember, it's not showing the plan, but there's an office area that's in the back of the building. There's a grade drop. There's an office area in the back. It's the same square footage. The retail is the same. It's about 8,430 square feet in Monroe and 12,786 square feet in Trumbull. The parking is 198 spaces, which is sufficient under standards in both towns to be compliant. Nothing's changing about the access. We still have WPCA approval for Bridgeport and Trumbull. For the connection, those approvals are still valid. We're still providing sidewalks The wetlands approvals are still valid. So it's really all the exact same. I have the engineer here. I'm happy to get into it. As an early Christmas gift, I can just not be talking and just stop talking anymore, unless you got other questions.
Let's see if we have any questions. I think it's the same group.
Yeah, actually, I think you're
First time. So let's go.
So is the sewer still going to be extended up?
sorry.
Is the sewer line still going to be
Yeah.
extended up?
The same thing. Everything is the same except the stormwater standards of stormwater.
Again, Ian Eller from J. Edwards Associates. In last year, the state rate or changed some of the requirements for stormwater management. And so the only changes made in this project were to bring those up to base, which includes the water quality volume and our CFSO. The site, we did not change the actual design because we were oversized to begin with, but the new report shows that we hit all those standards still without having changed the design.
Okay, go ahead.
So the only thing different or new that I'm seeing is the comments from EMS. How big's your elevator?
That's an architectural question.
I am not sure.
Calculated on the plan.
We won't change from what it previously was.
So then figure it out. You can come back to me.
We'll conform to any comments that they have.
Commissioner Mayne. No questions. Commissioner Westland.
Is the elevation, I see a lot of fill being brought in on that site. Is the elevation still staying the same?
From today's conditions,
Again, there are no changes to that part of the design. We do have, we're lifted it up a little bit. We got some walls around the edge, but whatever the volumes were from previous are still the same. I can't tell you them off the top of my head. We did not change the grading at all.
Okay. No questions. Staff has questions?
No questions.
Then we're going to go to the public. This is a public hearing. Therefore, if there are any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application, please raise your hand. If there are any members of the public online tonight that would like to comment or have any questions about this application, please raise your hands.
No one showing.
All right, I see none. Then we're just interested in the size of the elevator?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the EMS telling for, so one of the crew structure will fit.
Or an elevator large enough to accommodate for a stretcher?
Yeah. Do you have the plans?
we believe that it does accommodate a stretcher. We would be happy to accept a condition of approval that it does.
Works for me.
Okay.
Good job, Ray.
Hey, it's the only thing that changed. We got a new letter, you know?
Appreciate it.
What close hearing?
Yeah, and just to say, we believe we satisfy all your special exception permit standards, and this application is fully in conformance with the regulations. If I could be so bold as to ask if you could, if you were able to vote on this tonight, it would be greatly appreciated, as this is looking to move towards development.
Yes. Okay.
We're going to vote on both.
All right, thank you. Then if staff has nothing to add, then we will then close this hearing. We're going to move on to deliberations and determinations. We're going to start with the deliberations and determinations from the first public hearing that we heard tonight, SCP 2025, file 1669, 1536, 1564 Monroe Turnpike. This deliberation will have 4 regular members and Commissioner Smirglino deliberating. All right, so how are you all feeling towards this?
I think we've had enough experts to at least satisfy that there's really no way to tell. I mean, there's developments that happen all the time.
Yeah, I agree actually with that.
There's no evidence that it's going to definitely.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can. I think it's out of our purview to be ordering any further tests.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, obviously there's fear for the residents with their water. But I think there's other aspects to look at too in the future and how developed the site could be. I think right now we're getting a lot out of this development for the site that we probably will not get in the future. If this were to come back in front of us with new state laws and new things, if it were to even come back in front of us, or just be developed without even our consideration. So I do really like, especially looking at a lot of even some of the comments and letters from Deep that we've seen and things that have come in. It seems like preserving as much of the open space as we can is probably best for the environment, for the animals that are there currently. So yeah, I think I do agree with Rob that we're never going to get no one's going to say, and if they do say it, they're lying. I mean, no one can come in and say your well's not going to be effective in the negative, we're not going to be effective in the positive. But again, if I were to live on Cottage Street and decide to dig a well, there's really no requirement for me to go and do a full survey of the aquifer to figure out, where the lines are and stuff. So it would be, I think, inappropriate, unfortunately, for us to mandate that. And, maybe that changes in the future, but right now that's how the laws are. So I would move towards an approval.
Are you good? Good.
How's that, right? I'm good.
Yeah.
Listen, I completely understand the apprehension on the existing wells in the area and the residents. Statutorily, there's nothing stopping the developer from putting this development in based on the unknown as far as how the aquifer is going to be affected. And like I've stated in my own personal experience, it had a positive effect, and I'm not sure why, but it. I've never heard of somebody putting a house in and the neighbor's well going dry. I haven't heard of that, or a community. I'm sure it possibly happened, but it just doesn't seem like it's something that's happening around here. So I don't believe it's going to have an effect in that manner.
Okay, good. Then the chair will entertain a motion to approve. Oh. Not in deliberations.
Yeah, cut off.
Cut out. All right. So motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right. That's Westland motion.
Second.
Mayne second. We'll call the roll, starting on my right.
Margarito, yes.
Condon, yes.
O'Reilly, yes.
Mayne, yes.
Westland, yes.
Motion is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Moving along, we have the second public hearing tonight, SCP 2025-08, which is 4 and 7180 Main Street. So you all remember this one from 2 years ago? Discussion.
I'd be in favor, but as they said, they're agreeable to a condition of approval, just being that the elevators are within that range. It's something I think that, we've seen more and more with buildings in town getting a little higher, buildings in other towns. So it's kind of more on the radar than I think it was 2 years ago, which is why that's coming from EMS. But being able to safely get a patient into an elevator and down as opposed to having to take them down the stairs is just better for everyone involved and better for the actual residents. And I'm sure they'd be happy to know that they could advertise that when renting out the apartment. So
I feel a heart attack in the second floor. That's how I had advertised that building.
So I think
You get sick.
I will approve it.
I can get you up. What am I doing here?
Sound like you're good with that? Commissioner Mayne, and what kind of comments do you have on this application?
No, I'm good.
You're good? No, Weston.
Just on the condition they actually build it.
I think they want that more and more. All right, so then Chair will entertain a motion to approve this application.
I make a motion to approve SCP 2025-08, file 16724 and 7180 Main Street.
Motion by Mayini,
Second.
second by Smodino.
I think it one motion.
Well, I'll call the roll, starting on my right.
Smirgano, yes.
Condon, yes.
Riley, yes.
Mayini, yes.
Westland, yes.
It's unanimous. This commission approves this application. Congratulations. Okay, moving on, we have a new application. This is a petition for a regulation amendment to change the regulations to allow a commercial kennel use at 127 Enterprise Drive. For those of you in the regulation subcommittee, you've seen this these people and know pretty much what it's about. Is it going to be on the next month?
We're targeting for the January meeting.
It won't be for a while.
Right. Well, we have no other meeting in December. And this application just came in last week, earlier this week. I won't see you all until next year.
No, that's awful.
You don't get your.
You're the reason why.
Want an earlier meeting?
No, we don't, John. We don't.
So then we can go to meeting minutes.
We'd like to keep by it.
We have the meeting minutes of 11/6/25. Have you all seen those?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes on 11/6/25.
I have a motion.
Second, Condon.
Motion Mayini, second Condon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Planning and zoning matters. We have a request for a 2-year extension. That is from EFP 2023-04. This is 64 Cambridge Drive and 4 Independence Drive. They're requesting a 2-year extension. Alex, what did they say in their letter?
On behalf of Astro Land Holdings LLC and Spacely Land Holdings LLC, we formally request the commission grant an extension of the time allowed to complete the work associated with the above referenced permit approval by 2 years to December 7, 2027. While significant progress has been made filling the site, additional time is needed to achieve the design plan grades and meet the conditions of the permit.
There you have it.
All right, cool.
So are we leaning towards approving?
Sure,
this,
yes.
Yeah.
Didn't we have, at subcommittee, wasn't there somebody that wanted to put, something in there? Filling in?
Shooting range, yes.
So I thought they said it didn't need to be filled for that.
They backed up.
We've not yet seen any sort of application for that site in a formal application. Therefore, the current owner is looking to still satisfy the conditions of the approval on the site because I'm sure that they're going to continue to market it for somebody to develop it. And right now, our conditions of approval are to fill that site, which is what we're looking to extend by 2 years, or the applicant is looking to extend.
Can they just maybe send us some updated photos or something on how that's looking, or?
I believe we have, James, are you still on?
Yep, barely. I'm here though.
All right, we do receive monthly reports from Solely Engineering, do we not?
We receive quarterly reports from
Thank you.
Solely on this one. Yeah, this is not one of the monthly ones, but we do receive quarterly reports. I can tell you the last time that I know staff has been out there has been in the past about 6-8 months. And I was one of them. And the site hasn't changed since that point. And it's been kind of in the same holding pattern a little bit because they're having issues obtaining the fill. So if you remember that they actually came in for the modification. Yeah, recently. So nothing has really changed since that point. If you're curious to know if any changes since then.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we want this pit filled, so I'm okay extending it for them to fill it.
All right, motion to approve EFP 2023-04, file 1464 Cambridge and 4 Independence.
Motion by Mayini,
Second, Westland.
second
My
Wissman.
man.
We'll call the roll, starting on my right.
Ferragamo, yes.
Condon, yes.
O'Reilly, yes.
Mayne, yes.
Westland, yes.
Oh, let's go.
Oh,
5-0.
Doesn't vote.
she doesn't vote?
She's not seated.
Oh, okay. Correspondence, none.
You can still give a thumbs up. if you-
Moving along, commission reports. I do not have a report. Do other commissioners have any reports? Anything to
I
say?
just have a question. What's going to happen? What happens with the lawsuit that was present for the,
He'll drop it.
it's just going to go away?
Withdrawing it.
There. Okay.
Staff reports?
None.
Okay.
My man. You should come around a little more often.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn, Mayini. Second Condon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Now.
Motion passes.